Hello, everybody. I am back on Facebook again. I know I don't mean to annoy you guys, but just I've been pondering some things and I want to talk about gaining favor, having favor with God and with men for a reason, not so much for a prosperity gospel. That's not what I'm talking about, but to bring balance to this me and God against the world mentality. Some people I've seen really run with that, and really they're in bitterness and unforgiveness, crying because nobody likes them. But you know what? The scriptures clearly said that Jesus grew in favor with God and with men, that we would be loved as he was loved and also hated as he was hated. There was both, not just hate, not just being rejected, not just division. So let's go to those scriptures. Luke chapter 2, verse 52. And Jesus increased in wisdom, in broad and full understanding, and in stature and years, and in favor with God and man. Just because everyone hates you does not mean you're in the will of God. Sometimes people don't like you because of your hypocrisy. So we really need to examine ourselves. If you are more passionate about correcting the sins of others than correcting your own sins, you're in a spirit of error. And you need to bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. For it's all about love in the end. Our Father is gentle, He's long suffering, He's kind. And if we really have a true revelation of who God is and His nature, we will operate in that very same attribute. So I feel led to speak to, especially with the youth. You know, I used to be like that. You get passionate about God and the things of God, on fire for God, and you just become this obnoxious person that forgets where you came from, that forgets that every day you fall short, and if it were not for the grace of God, you would fall away like that. If it wasn't for God keeping you, you would fall away like that. So the question is, can people lose their salvation? If it depended on you in the first place, the scriptures clearly say that it's the Father that draws us. It's that He has called us and we have not called ourselves. So the origin of our salvation doesn't even begin with us. It begins with God's desire and God's will. So can God's contract with us really be broken? Can His, what's the word that the scriptures, covenant with us really be broken? I'll let you answer that question in the presence of God as you pray. I personally believe, based on what the Holy Spirit has revealed to me, our self-will is not that strong that we can push ourselves out of the will of God. Look at Jonah. Look at the many people who tried to run from his purpose and his calling. No, I tried to run. I tried to run. And don't even assume what that story looks like. I felt that if I became a preacher, I would be too judgmental. I would be too critical. And I was critical. I was judgmental. And then God continued to show me through how He responded to my feelings, how I'm to respond to others' feelings. A lot of people don't like you because you're kind of a hypocrite. Let's examine our own selves, that we are consistent. And being humble is realizing that you're never that consistent. You're not that perfect, and you need God's grace every single second of the day. That's my word for you today. I'm just going to leave it at that. Keep it balanced, people. Keep it balanced. I remember a guy, he had great teaching, awesome teachers. His name was Pastor Vernon. Great teaching. He preached some erroneous things, but he had some good word too. He had some very good word. But what I noticed about him, he did not bear the fruit of love. And why is it important to bear the fruit of love? Why is that important? Because love cannot be produced in our own strength. Love, true love being birthed within us, is produced by us submitting to God and Him doing the work in us by His Holy Spirit. So if the very fruit of love is dependent on us having God's Holy Spirit and His presence, that doesn't even start with you. See, that's why some people are just exhausted. They're exhausted because they're trying to do everything in their own effort, in their own strength. I need God's every strength every single day. Every single day. I need Him to open my eyes every single day. I need to be refreshed. My physical body, I'm getting older, and that youth and that zeal does not last. The body does not keep up with it all the time. You get body aches, you get all kinds of things. And you know what? It makes you more dependent on God. Zeal without knowledge is not good. Zeal without self-control is no good. I hope you youth hear this day and you just rest in God's love. And when I say rest, I don't mean be lazy. When I say rest, I don't mean take advantage of God's grace, although we must take advantage of God's grace because it shows us that we need it. But I mean treating it with contempt, treating it with disrespect, God's grace, taking advantage of God's grace with disrespect. I may not be the most eloquent, I may not be the most knowledgeable, but I know my Father, and I pray that His attributes will continue to flow through His people so that people can see. If you spoke not a word, what gospel would you be preaching? Think about that this day. God bless.